My son called and told me to wire $7,000 for a settlement. I was shocked by the request. He explained that his wife had apparently caused an accident. While driving, my son's wife injured the other party. Is this a joke? I thought, because the woman sitting across from me during lunch was none other than his wife, the one who supposedly caused the accident. While I hesitated, my son abruptly hung up the phone. I began to suspect it might be a scam, but the caller ID on my phone clearly showed his number. Fuming, I was about to refuse when my daughter-in-law smiled and stopped me. "Let's pay for now. I have a good idea," she said. And so, as the two of us collaborated, the situation took an unexpectedly interesting turn. "Mom, I finally got a job," my 32-year-old son, William, happily reported to me. I replied, "Oh, that's great." William had spent a long time working part-time or not at all, and honestly, I had almost given up hope that he'd find a job. So I felt a huge sense of relief. Eventually, he married Margaret, a woman he got close to at work. Despite being 2 years younger than William, she was responsible and had a pleasant personality. We never had any mother-in-law and daughter-in-law issues. Although William and Margaret didn't live with me, Margaret and I occasionally had lunch together. I thought, with a capable daughter-in-law and William having a respectable job, I could finally relax. But then, before marrying Margaret, my son had a troublesome habit. Despite having no income, he was careless with money and impulsively bought whatever he desired. He even stole money from my wallet a few times. "Why would you do such a thing?" I sternly scolded him, trying to get an explanation, but my son just pouted and turned away, refusing to speak. Taking money from your parents' wallet, acting like a child even at his age, I couldn't help but cry, feeling embarrassed. Given that experience, I was a bit anxious about my son's married life with Margaret. "Hey, Margaret, how is William doing? Is he causing you any trouble?" "Oh, not at all," she replied. I worried that he might take money from her wallet or do something wrong, but Margaret assured me, flexing her arm as if to emphasize her point. It seemed my son's household was under Margaret's capable management. "Oh, that's a relief. With you, everything will be fine." I sighed, grateful that William had found a good wife. One day, while having our usual lunch together, my daughter-in-law and I were enjoying our meal. Suddenly, my phone buzzed in my pocket, and when I checked the screen, it displayed my son's name as the caller. "Hello, William. What's going on? Why the sudden call?" William's voice sounded urgent, and I braced myself for bad news. However, his next words plunged me into a whirlwind of confusion. "Listen carefully, Mom. Margaret had an accident while driving." "What?" "The other party got injured, and they're really angry. They want us to pay $7,000 as a settlement." I glanced at the person sitting across from me. The bewildered expression on my daughter-in-law's face was clear. William, anyway, if you can arrange the money, let me know right away. Bye." He hung up abruptly, leaving me stunned. After the call ended, I remained utterly bewildered, lost in thought. Margaret had an accident, but she's right here. I wondered if my son had misunderstood something. Yet there was an odd tension in the air. "Mom, are you okay?" Margaret, wearing a puzzled expression, asked about the call from William. "I don't fully understand, but it's serious. William claimed that you had an accident." "What?" I was completely overwhelmed by the situation and desperate to come up with money. Margaret calmed me down and listened to my story, but her confusion mirrored mine. "What exactly is going on? I haven't been in an accident, and I'm not sure what William is talking about," she said, then rested her chin on her hand, deep in thought. Perhaps we should suspect a scam, Margaret suggested. But that voice was undoubtedly William's, unless he suddenly caught a cold and sounded different. But he seemed fine this morning. If it's not him, then who? The phone number displayed on my mobile matched William's. Margaret and I exchanged puzzled glances, both lost in contemplation. After all, if you haven't been in an accident, then that $7,000 settlement demand must be a lie. What could such a large sum be needed for? I don't fully understand William's spending habits either. Margaret sighed. Well, when you see his room, maybe he'd waste it on something trivial, Margaret explained. What do you mean? Margaret then shared details about William's recent behavior, and my anger flared up. William did that. Unbelievable. I won't stand for it. I grabbed my phone, intending to call William and give him a piece of my mind, but Margaret gently stopped me with a smile. No need. Let's pay first. Why? I've got a plan, Margaret said, her eyes twinkling. Hearing her revenge scheme for William, I couldn't help but grin. That sounds intriguing. Let's teach him a lesson. Exactly. It's time to put him in his place, Margaret declared. And so Margaret and I joined forces, ready to leave William speechless. 3 hours later, I pretended to be deceived and called my son back. I've got the $7,000 ready. Let's meet in person for the exchange. Wait a minute. I said to wire the money. No, it won't work that way. Nowadays, banks scrutinize large wire transfers. It's more reliable to hand it over directly. Okay, where should we meet? I specified the meeting location and prepared a paper bag with the $7,000. Sorry for the wait, I said when my son appeared awkwardly, accompanied by an unfamiliar man. Who's this? I asked. I'm Arlo. I'm the one his wife hit with her car, the man claiming to be the accident victim said. Arlo had a rugged face with visible scars. However, those scars appeared old and not recent. Moreover, it was evident that he wasn't an ordinary person. William grinned, relieved. Good, you brought the money. William then demanded, hand over that $7,000 to me. Before that, I have a question. I glanced between the alleged victim and William. Our apologies for any inconvenience caused by Margaret. Could you provide details about the accident? Come on, does it really matter? It does. We might be eligible for insurance compensation, and we need to understand what happened. Arlo narrowed his eyes at me, looking annoyed. Look, I was suddenly involved in the accident, so I don't remember the details. Yeah, I wasn't with Margaret, so I'm not sure, William added. Isn't that strange? How could both of you know that she caused the accident in that state? I placed my hand on my hip and tilted my head, feigning curiosity. Wait, could it be that surveillance cameras or dash cams captured the incident? If so, could you show me the footage? Listen, lady, you've been nagging incessantly. Are you suggesting I'm lying? The self-proclaimed victim's low voice carried a threatening tone. Although I felt fear, I couldn't back down now. I don't want to assume you're lying. I'm simply asking for evidence if you have any. Summoning my courage, I continued to lock eyes with Arlo. In the midst of our standoff, my son interrupted our conversation. Mom, stop it. Enough. Just hand over that $7,000. His face clearly showed fear. Yeah, right. There's no evidence after all. I didn't cause any accidents, Margaret stated firmly. William was utterly shocked by the appearance of someone. Margaret, why are you here? I didn't mention it, but when you called me, Margaret was having lunch with me, I said. William stammered, That's absurd. I didn't hear anything. As my son retreated nervously, both Margaret and I closed in on him. Why lie and make your mom prepare $7,000? The jig is up. Surrender, I said. We decided to present evidence to corner him. Actually, Margaret and I went to their house together to uncover William's misdeeds. While my son was away, we searched his room and found evidence of various wrongdoings. First, this is a loan agreement for debt. It stipulated that if he didn't repay the borrowed $7,000 within a month, he'd have to pay additional delay damages. However, the amount was substantial and not from a reputable financial institution. I explained, turning my attention to the person next to William. She wasn't involved in any accident. So who are you? Arlo chuckled. Yes, I'm caught. As expected, the man claiming to be the accident victim was actually a debt collector who had lent money to my son. Arlo explained, your son asked for my help when securing the $7,000. Pretending to be the victim seemed like a good idea, but it's clearly not working. While Arlo found it amusing, my son looked apologetic and shrank back nervously. So, you already know why your son borrowed $7,000, right? Yes. When I saw my son's room, I was speechless. I showed a photo of William's room taken with my smartphone. The room was filled with an overwhelming number of anime character dolls. I searched the prices on my phone, and I was shocked. Figures can be so expensive. Among William's belongings, there were high-priced items exceeding $700. We also found receipts from when he purchased the figures, which served as evidence. As a parent, it's hard for me to say this, but my son is careless with money. His salary is entirely managed by his wife. Where would he find the money to buy such expensive things? If he stole from my wallet, I'd slap him immediately. We somehow understood the reason behind his debt, and my daughter-in-law and I were left dumbfounded by the trivial explanation. I knew about your hobby, but if it cost this much money, I would have stopped you. Well, what else could I do? Figures are like works of art, once in a lifetime. If you don't buy them at that moment, you might never get such rare items, William said, desperation lacing his voice. Margaret glared at our son with a mix of surprise and anger. William, on the verge of tears, desperately tried to justify himself. I understand that feeling, so you'll forgive me, right? With that $7,000, I can finally be free from debt, he pleaded. But William, borrowing money from questionable sources and making reckless purchases can lead your life astray, I said, delivering my message with a stern tone. I then tossed a paper bag at William. He caught it, and as he checked the contents, his eyes widened in shock. What's this? He asked, bewildered. Just newspaper cut into the shape of bills. I'm not that kind-hearted to prepare $7,000 when I know I'm being deceived, I replied coldly. Arlo chimed in, amused. Well, things have taken a turn. So, William, isn't this a different story? William, holding the newspaper-made bundle, looked pale and bewildered. Hearing Arlo's smug voice, he trembled. Margaret was furious with my son, too. Using my name to swindle money from my beloved mom. I can't believe it. I'm divorcing you, Margaret declared. And I'm considering severing our family ties, I added sternly. William stammered, wait, both of you. Despite William's tearful pleas, Margaret and I shook off his grasp and left the scene. Behind me, I heard William sobbing while Arlo burst into laughter. Afterward, I advised William to sell all the figures in his room and use that money to repay the debt. He seemed deeply troubled but accepted the advice and managed to raise the $7,000 to pay Arlo back. I decided to sever ties with my son, but before doing so, I offered one last piece of advice. From now on, live an honest life. I told him. However, William's collector's instinct persisted, leading him to repeat the cycle of debt and find himself pursued by loan sharks. Margaret, once his wife, divorced him long ago, yet we still enjoy lunches together, reflecting on William's story. Changing one's way of life isn't so simple for humans, Margaret remarked, and we shared a laugh. While watching her smile, I silently wished for Margaret's happiness.